Admiral Kress of the Meridian Empire stood motionless on the bridge of the Celestial Vanguard, her primary eyes fixed on the holographic display, while her secondary set scanned the crew's reactions. The massive vessel, pride of the Meridian fleet, hung in the darkness of uncharted space alongside its escort ships. Before them, something impossible was taking shape. Magnification increased. "Admiral," announced First Officer Venn, his scaled fingers dancing across the control interface. "The unknown vessels are now visible." The ships that materialized on the display seemed to defy Meridian understanding. They were enormous, yes, but it was their design that caught Kress's attention. No sweeping curves or crystalline arrays like Meridian architecture. These vessels were angular, practical, with massive engines and what appeared to be primitive metallic hulls. "Humans," Kress said, the word falling from her mouth like a stone into still water. The Meridian Empire had heard of them. Of course, a species that had barely reached their nearest stellar neighbors, still using chemical rockets and radio waves for much of their technology. These ships, however, suggested something else entirely. "Are you certain, Admiral?" Venn's voice carried a note of disbelief. "Our intelligence suggested their spacefaring capabilities were limited." Kress's primary eyes narrowed. "Scan them. Full spectrum." The results came back moments later, and the bridge fell silent. The vessel's hulls were indeed metallic, but they were composed of alloys unknown to Meridian science. Energy readings suggested power sources that shouldn't have been possible for a civilization at humanity's supposed level of development. "They're accelerating," reported the sensor officer, "moving to intercept our position." Kress felt her scales tighten against her skin. Protocol dictated they should open communications, establish peaceful first contact. But something about these ships made her membrane ridges flutter with unease. "Launch probes," she ordered. "I want detailed analysis of their capabilities before they reach us." The probes streaked across space, their sensors reaching out to touch the approaching human vessels. Almost immediately, alarms blared across the bridge. "Admiral," Venn's voice cracked with urgency. "The probes, they're gone." "Destroyed?" "No, they just disappeared. One moment they were there, the next." Venn's scaled hands spread in confusion. The human ships continued their approach, their formation precise and purposeful. Kress realized with growing unease that they were being herded. The humans were positioning themselves to cut off any potential escape routes. "Open communications," Kress commanded, her voice steady despite the growing tension. "All frequencies, all protocols." The response was immediate and devastatingly simple. A human voice, speaking perfect Meridian. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered restricted space. Your scan attempts have been noted and are considered hostile action under Article 7 of the Proxima Accords." Kress felt her secondary hearts skip a beat. Proxima Accords. There were no such accords, no diplomatic treaties with humanity. "Unless we have no record of these accords," Kress responded carefully. "The Meridian Empire claims right of exploration in this sector." A pause, then. "Your intelligence is outdated, Admiral. Humanity has held sovereignty over this sector for the past 50 years. Your presence here violates multiple treaties you are apparently unaware of." The implications hit Kress like a gravity wave. Either this was an elaborate deception, or the Meridian Empire's understanding of human capabilities was catastrophically wrong. "You will power down your weapons systems and prepare for inspection," Captain Chen continued. "Any hostile action will be met with immediate response." Kress watched as more human ships emerged from what appeared to be fold space, another technology humanity shouldn't have possessed. They were surrounded now, their sensors showing weapons systems that defied analysis. "Admiral," Venn whispered, "their energy readings, they're like nothing in our database. If those are weapons." Kress raised her hand for silence. In all her years of service, she had never faced such a situation. The humans weren't just more advanced than expected. They were generations ahead of what Meridian intelligence had believed possible. "Stand down weapons," she ordered, her voice carrying across the stunned bridge. "All ships, power down offensive systems." As her crew complied, Cress watched the human vessels with new eyes. The Meridian Empire had made a grave miscalculation, one that would reshape their understanding of their place in the galaxy. They had dismissed humanity as primitive, failing to see that their seeming technological simplicity might have been deliberate, a mask hiding capabilities far beyond Meridian understanding. The humans had not just survived in the cosmos, they had mastered it in ways the Meridians had never imagined possible. And now, Cress realized, the real first contact was about to begin. The inspection of the celestial vanguard proceeded with mechanical precision. Admiral Cress watched as 3 human officers materialized directly onto her bridge, another display of technology that shouldn't have existed. They wore simple dark uniforms, unadorned except for small insignias that seemed to shift and change when viewed directly. Captain Chen was immediately recognizable as the leader, though she was physically smaller than her companions. Her movements were deliberate, her eyes constantly analyzing. The other 2 officers carried devices that looked deceptively primitive, handheld units of brushed metal and glass. "Your vessel is impressive, Admiral," Chen said, running her fingers along a nearby console. "The crystalline computing cores are particularly elegant. We used similar technology ourselves, about 70 years ago." The casual dismissal of one of the Meridian Empire's proudest achievements stung, but Cress maintained her composure. "You seem well versed in our capabilities, Captain, yet we know almost nothing of yours." Chen's smile was diplomatic but carried an edge. "That's by design, Admiral. Humanity learned early on that appearing less advanced than we are has certain advantages." One of Chen's officers approached, holding up his device. "Captain, we're detecting quantum signature residue consistent with long-range surveillance operations. They've been watching us, but their sensors were calibrated all wrong. They were looking for radio waves and chemical propulsion, because that's what we wanted them to see." Chen nodded. "While we were mapping their empire using technologies they couldn't even detect." Cress felt her scales ripple with discomfort. "How long have you been observing us?" "Since before your people discovered fold space travel," Chen replied. "We watched your civilization expand, watched you encounter and absorb smaller species into your empire. We made the decision then to mask our true capabilities." The implications of this statement hit Cress like a physical blow. The humans hadn't just hidden their technology, they had deliberately crafted an image of technological inferiority while maintaining constant surveillance of Meridian expansion. "The ships you're seeing now," Chen continued, gesturing to the holographic display showing the human fleet, "are part of our border patrol fleet. Not our most advanced vessels, but more than capable of defending this sector." As if to emphasize this point, one of the human ships suddenly vanished from the display, only to reappear instantly on the opposite side of the Meridian formation. The movement wasn't like any fold space jump Cress had ever seen. There was no energy signature, no distortion of spacetime, just instantaneous translocation. "Impossible," Ven whispered from his station. "The power requirements alone. Your understanding of power generation is limited by your reliance on conventional physics," one of Chen's officers interjected. "We transcended those limitations decades ago." Chen raised her hand, silencing her officer. "What matters now, Admiral, is how we proceed. Your empire has been expanding unchecked, operating under the assumption that you were the most advanced civilization in this sector of space. That assumption ends today." Cress felt the weight of centuries of Meridian pride pressing down on her. "Are you demanding our surrender, Captain?" "No, Admiral. We're offering you an opportunity." Chen's expression softened slightly. "Humanity has no interest in conquest or domination. What we do have is an interest in stable, peaceful relations with our galactic neighbors. We've allowed your empire to maintain its illusions until now because you hadn't yet reached a point where direct contact was necessary. And now Now you're on the verge of developing technologies that could destabilize this entire sector of space. Your scientists are remarkably clever. They're closer to cracking quantum field manipulation than you realize. Without proper understanding of the consequences, that could be catastrophic. One of Chen's officers activated a holographic display of his own, and Kress gasped. The image showed a simulation of what appeared to be a Meridian research facility, one that was supposed to be completely secret, and the potential aftermath of a failed quantum field experiment. The simulation showed the facility, along with several surrounding star systems, collapsing into a cascading quantum singularity. "This is why we're revealing ourselves now," Chen explained. "Your empire stands at a crossroads. You can either accept that you're not the most advanced civilization in this sector and work with us to ensure stable development of new technologies, or—" She let the statement hang in the air, but the implication was clear. The humans wouldn't allow the Meridian Empire to blindly stumble into technological advances that could threaten the stability of the galaxy. Kress looked around her bridge at the crew that had served her faithfully through countless missions. They had always believed they were at the forefront of technological achievement, that their empire represented the peak of civilization. Now they were learning they were children playing with forces they barely understood, while humanity had been quietly watching, waiting for the right moment to step in. "What are your terms, Captain?" Kress finally asked, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her hearts. Chen smiled, and this time there was genuine warmth in it. "Let's discuss how we can help your people reach their full potential, safely, and as equals rather than competitors." 3 weeks after the first contact incident, Admiral Kress found herself in a position she never could have imagined, standing on the bridge of a human vessel, the EDF Hyperion, watching as both human and Meridian ships prepared for battle against a common enemy. The swarm had appeared without warning at the edge of the Proxima system, ancient automated weapons platforms left behind by some long-dead civilization, drawn to concentrations of advanced technology like moths to flame. In previous centuries, they had been manageable threats. But now, after millennia of self-replication and evolution, they had become a serious danger to civilized space. "Multiple contact signatures," reported Commander Jackson from his station. "The swarm is adapting to our presence. Their weapon systems are reconfiguring." Captain Chen, standing at the command center with Kress, nodded grimly. "They're learning faster than before. Admiral, your ships should maintain their distance. Let us handle the initial engagement." Kress felt her scales bristle. Even after weeks of technological exchange and cooperation, the human's protective stance sometimes grated against her pride. "My ships are not defenseless, Captain." "No," Chen agreed, "but they're not equipped with temporal shielding. If the swarm deploys their chronometric weapons, your crews would be aged to dust in seconds." As if to emphasize her point, the first wave of swarm vessels emerged from Fold space. They were beautiful in their terrible way, crystalline structures that shifted and flowed like liquid metal, each one unique yet part of a greater whole. Energy readings from them nearly overloaded the Hyperion sensors. "All ships, execute pattern Delta," Chen commanded. "Meridian vessels, maintain your position at the designated coordinates. Watch and learn." The human fleet moved with impossible precision. Ships blinked in and out of existence, appearing at seemingly random points around the swarm formation. But Kress, with her newly gained understanding of human tactical doctrine, could see the pattern. They were creating a temporal maze, using their advanced drives to fragment space-time itself. The swarm reacted instantly, weapon systems charging. The first shots they fired were beams of concentrated entropy, weapons designed to age their targets out of existence. But they passed harmlessly through the human formation, hitting nothing but carefully crafted temporal echoes. "Now," Chen ordered quietly. The real attack began. Human ships appeared simultaneously at multiple points in space-time, firing weapons that Kress still struggled to comprehend. Beams of coherent probability collapsed swarm vessels into quantum singularities. Temporal torpedoes caused others to experience their entire possible futures at once, burning out their processing cores. "Admiral," Chen said, turning to Kress, "we're about to open a gap in their formation. Your ships have the conventional firepower we need to exploit it. Are you ready?" Kress felt her heart's race with anticipation. Finally, a chance to prove that the Meridian Empire could contribute meaningfully to this battle. "We're ready, Captain. Just give the signal." The human fleet's dance reached its crescendo. Ships moved in patterns that seemed to defy physics itself, creating a perfect moment of vulnerability in the swarm's defenses. Chen nodded to Kress, who immediately transmitted orders to her fleet. The Meridian ships surged forward, their crystalline computing cores working in perfect harmony with human tactical guidance. They struck at the swarm's weak points with devastating precision, their conventional weapons amplified by human temporal manipulation. "Remarkable," Chen murmured, watching as Meridian energy beams passed through temporal corridors created by human ships, hitting their targets with multiplied force. "Your gunners adapted to the temporal targeting algorithms faster than we expected." Kress allowed herself a moment of pride. "We may not have your level of technology, Captain, but Meridian warriors have been studying combat for millennia." The battle continued for what felt like hours, but might have been minutes. Time became difficult to track when human temporal technology was in heavy use. The swarm fought with mechanical determination, but they faced something they had never encountered before. Two civilizations working in concert, combining vastly different technological approaches in ways their adaptive algorithms couldn't predict. Finally, the last swarm vessel imploded under combined human Meridian fire. The silence that followed felt heavy with significance. "Your ships performed admirably," Chen said, turning to Kress. "I think this proves what we've been saying about cooperation being more valuable than competition." Kress watched as her fleet regrouped, their formations now unconsciously mimicking human tactical patterns. "We've learned more about combat in these few weeks than we had in centuries of independent development. But tell me truthfully, Captain, how much of your capability did you actually show today?" Chen's slight smile was answer enough. "Let's just say that we believe in maintaining appropriate operational security, even with allies. But what you did see should be enough to convince your empire's leadership that we're stronger together than apart." Kress nodded slowly, her four eyes taking in the battlefield display. The debris of the swarm vessels was already breaking down, returning to base atomic components. Another mystery to solve, another lesson to learn. "Together," she agreed, understanding now why the humans had chosen this moment to reveal themselves. Sometimes, the greatest strength wasn't in having the most advanced technology, but in knowing when and how to share it. The Grand Chamber of the Meridian High Council had never hosted a human before. Now it held dozens of them, their simple dark uniforms standing in stark contrast to the ornate crystalline architecture and the flowing robes of the Meridian counselors. Admiral Kress stood at the speaker's podium, her scales still bearing the iridescent markings of recent combat, a tradition she had maintained even for this diplomatic function. The Battle of Proxima was not merely a military victory, she declared, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. It was proof that our civilizations can achieve more together than either could alone. On the central platform, High Counselor Vax shifted uncomfortably. "You speak of cooperation, Admiral, yet these humans concealed their true nature from us for decades. How can we trust allies who begin with deception?" Captain Chen stepped forward, her movement drawing every eye in the chamber. She had insisted on wearing her standard uniform rather than diplomatic regalia, a choice that had initially offended some counselors, but now seemed to emphasize the human's practical nature. "With respect, High Counselor," Chen said, her voice clear and measured, "our concealment was not about trust, but about responsibility. We needed to understand how your civilization would use power before we shared our own." "You judged us," another counselor accused, "watched us like specimens in a laboratory." "We watched you grow," Chen corrected. "We saw your victories and your mistakes. We witnessed how you treated smaller civilizations that joined your empire. And yes, we judged, because the technologies we possess could destroy not just worlds, but entire sectors of space if misused. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Cress noticed how the human delegation remained perfectly calm, even as Meridian counselors buzzed with agitation. She had learned that this stillness often preceded their most significant actions. Perhaps, Chen continued once the chamber quieted, a demonstration would be more convincing than words. She raised her hand, and suddenly the entire chamber was filled with a holographic display more real than reality itself. Counselors gasped as they found themselves seemingly floating in space, watching the Battle of Proxima from every possible angle simultaneously. This is not a recording, Chen explained as the battle played out around them. This is the actual event, temporarily reconnected to our present through quantum temporal mechanics. We're watching what happened, as it happened, from within the time stream itself. The display showed every detail of the battle. Human ships dancing through time, Meridian vessels striking with devastating precision through temporal corridors, the swarm adapting and failing to counter their combined tactics. But now the counselors could also see the underlying patterns, the quantum fields, probability waves, and temporal eddies that both fleets had navigated. Your ships, Chen continued, despite their technological limitations, adapted to our temporal warfare techniques with remarkable speed. Your crews demonstrated an intuitive understanding of concepts that most civilizations take decades to grasp. This is why we chose this moment to reveal ourselves. The holographic display shifted, showing possible future timelines branching out from that battle. In sum, the Meridian Empire learned these principles alone, only to tear itself apart with failed experiments. In others, they stagnated, never reaching their true potential. But in the timeline that now seemed brightest, most real, humans and Meridians worked together, each contributing their unique strengths to create something greater than either civilization could achieve alone. We don't offer charity, Chen said as the display faded, leaving the chamber feeling somehow smaller, more confined. We offer partnership, your empire's creativity, your adaptability, your drive to explore and understand. These qualities complement our own technological advancement. Together, we can face threats that neither of us could handle alone. High Counselor Vax leaned forward, all four eyes focused intently on Chen. And what do you gain from this partnership, Captain? Surely not just allies against ancient machine threats. Perspective, Chen replied simply. Your civilization sees the universe differently than we do. You've solved problems in ways we never considered. Take your crystalline computing cores. They're less advanced than our quantum systems. Yes, but they're also more stable, more elegant in their architecture. We believe that combining our approaches could lead to breakthroughs neither civilization has achieved alone. Cress watched the council chamber, seeing the shift in her people's demeanor. The initial fear and anger were giving way to curiosity, to the intrinsic Meridian drive to understand and advance. She had seen the same transformation in her own crew after the battle. There is another factor to consider, she added, drawing the council's attention back to her. The swarm we encountered was larger, more advanced than any previously recorded. Something in our galaxy is changing, driving these ancient weapons to evolve more rapidly. We may soon face threats that would overwhelm either civilization alone. The implications hung in the air like a physical presence. The Meridian Empire had long viewed itself as the primary power in its sector of space, but the universe had just become much larger and more complex than they had imagined. The choice now was whether to face that universe as partners with humanity, or to cling to their pride and face it alone. High Counselor Vax rose slowly, his robes shimmering in the chamber's crystalline light. Captain Chen, Admiral Cress, the Council will need time to deliberate on these matters. But I believe I speak for many when I say that the Battle of Proxima has opened our eyes to possibilities we had not considered. Chen bowed slightly, a gesture that managed to convey both respect and equality. Take the time you need, High Counselor. We've waited decades to have this conversation. We can wait a little longer for your answer. 1 year after the Battle of Proxima, the Hyperion hung in high orbit above Earth, its hybrid design a testament to the unprecedented cooperation between humans and Meridians. Admiral Kress stood at the observation deck, her scaled form reflected in the transparent crystalline viewport, a Meridian innovation that had proven more efficient than traditional human materials for certain applications. Still finding it hard to believe, Captain Chen asked, joining her at the viewport. Below them, Earth shimmered like a jewel, its orbital rings and defense platforms barely visible from this distance. That your homeworld looks so fragile, Kress responded, her secondary eyes tracking the movement of ships in orbit, while her primary pair remained fixed on the planet. Or that you managed to hide all of this from us for so long. Chen smiled. The expression Kress had learned meant genuine amusement rather than diplomatic courtesy. Both, I suppose. Though I was referring to the changes of the past year. Indeed, the changes had been profound. The integration of human temporal mechanics with Meridian crystalline technology had yielded breakthroughs that neither civilization had anticipated. The very ship they stood on incorporated both human quantum drives and Meridian computing cores, creating a vessel that could navigate the complexities of space-time with unprecedented precision. The latest reports from the outer rim are promising, Chen continued, bringing up a holographic display with a gesture. The combined fleet has pushed back 3 major swarm incursions. Your tactical analysts are already predicting their adaptation patterns better than our AIs, while your temporal technology ensures they never adapt fast enough to threaten civilian worlds, Kress added. A perfect synthesis, as your scientists like to say. The display shifted, showing the network of joint research stations and defense installations that now stretched across both human and Meridian space. What had begun as a cautious partnership had evolved into something far more significant. A genuine merger of civilizations, each contributing their unique strengths to create something greater than the sum of its parts. There's something we haven't told the general public yet, Chen said, her tone growing serious. Our long-range temporal sensors have detected something concerning. The holographic display changed again, showing patterns of disturbance in the fabric of space-time itself. Kress felt her scales tighten. She had learned enough about human technology over the past year to recognize that these weren't natural phenomena. The swarm, she said. They're not just evolving anymore. They're being directed. Chen nodded grimly. Something out there is coordinating them, pushing them to probe our defenses systematically. The attacks we've repelled weren't random. They were tests. Have you identified the source? Not yet. But whatever it is, it's old. Older than either of our civilizations. And it's noticed our partnership. Kress absorbed this information, her military mind already analyzing the strategic implications. You think this entity, whatever it is, sees our cooperation as a threat. We think it's seen this before, Chen replied. Our archaeologists have found evidence that other civilizations attempted similar partnerships in the distant past. All of them vanished mysteriously, leaving behind only their automated weapons platforms, like the swarm. The implication sent a chill through Kress's hearts. Someone, or something, has been systematically preventing civilizations from working together, from reaching their full potential. Which is exactly why our partnership is so important, Chen said, turning to face Kress directly. Humanity hid its true nature because we discovered traces of this pattern long ago. We needed to be certain that when we finally revealed ourselves, it would be to allies who could help us face what's coming. The viewport dimmed slightly as a massive ship passed overhead, one of the new joint-design dreadnoughts, its hull incorporating both human temporal shielding and Meridian crystal matrices. It was beautiful in a way that neither civilization could have achieved alone. The old council would never have accepted this level of cooperation, Kress mused. We were too proud, too convinced of our own superiority. And now we understand that true strength lies not in maintaining isolation, but in finding ways to complement each other's capabilities. Kress turned all 4 eyes to Chen. Your people took an enormous risk in revealing yourselves to us. We did, Chen agreed. But we also had faith that when presented with the truth and a genuine opportunity for partnership, your people would rise to the challenge. The holographic display shifted one final time, showing the combined fleet exercises taking place across multiple star systems. Human ships danced through time while Meridian vessels provided precision strikes through temporal corridors. Support ships of both species worked in perfect harmony, their crews no longer separated by species, but integrated based on ability and specialty. Whatever's coming, Cress said, her voice firm with conviction, it will find something unprecedented. Two civilizations that have truly become greater than the sum of their parts. That's what we're counting on, Chen replied. Because if our theories are correct, we haven't just built a partnership. We've created something that hasn't existed in this galaxy for millions of years. A genuine chance to break the cycle. As if in response to her words, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Both officers turned to the tactical display, where new contacts were appearing at the edge of the solar system. The swarm was back, and in greater numbers than ever before. But this time, there was no fear on the bridge of the Hyperion, only determination. Humans and Meridians moved in practiced coordination, preparing for battle with the efficiency of a crew that had transcended their differences to become something new. Ready to make history again, Admiral? Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. Cress felt her scales shift to their combat iridescence as she gave the order. All ships, assume battle formation. Let's show whatever's out there why this time will be different. The combined fleet moved out to meet the threat, not as two civilizations fighting side by side, but as a single force united in purpose. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, an ancient intelligence watched with growing concern as its carefully maintained pattern of isolation and conflict began to break down, facing something it hadn't encountered in eons: hope.